Hello, everyone. Welcome to a very special preview for us. This is the Hong Kong International Races anti-post preview. And for the first time ever, Danny and I have picked up some actual experts in Jack Dawling and Ron Woods. Jack Dawling, we'll start with you. You're Hong Kong racing correspondent. What's the atmosphere like in Hong Kong a week out?
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on, chaps. It's great to be talking about the big week in Hong Kong racing. And as you say, it's the big week for us. We have 52 weeks of the year, about 10 months of the season, but it all builds up around this 1 week. The internationals come to town. We've got two superstars, of course, for them to be taking on, but the atmosphere is building. The international media and the jockeys are arriving, and of course the horses themselves are here. So it's full steam ahead, and definitely anticipation is building.
Okay, yeah, excellent. And Ron, obviously, we've worked with you in the past. You did some work for us on Dubai over the spring. What are your big memories of the Hong Kong international races? Anything that stands out?
Hi, James. Yeah, thanks for having me on as well. I actually went to this meeting a few years ago in 2017, just as a fan, and that was the year Highland Reel won the Vase. It's just a meeting I've kind of watched since getting into racing, really, and always remember getting up early in the morning to watch it because it can be quite an early start in the UK. So going back a long time, and it got to experience it as well, and like Happy Valley on the Wednesday before, and it's all good fun. It's just an exciting week.
Yeah, it is. It's nice. It's nice with flat fans when, as you're having to watch mud get chucked around at Sandown, you can watch some real high class stuff over in Hong Kong, provided you're happy to wake up early enough. As mentioned, or as I will mention, it starts about 6 a.m. on Sunday, the first race that we're going to talk about. There are two very different shapes to the four races we're going to run through. We've got the Sprint and the Cup, which feature two superstar favourites, very, very short in the betting. Hopefully, will be some each way angles to take them on at. And then there are the Mile and the Vase. They're a lot more competitive, wide open, with a bit of European interest in the Vase especially. So, Jack, we will come to you straight away, and it'd be great to talk about the draw at Sha Tin and the extent to which this matters, given the various field sizes, and essentially where you want to be drawn.
Yeah, of course. Now, Sha Tin, usually the inside is the place to be drawn, but when the international come into town, races can be run slightly differently to how they are usually week in, week out. Of course, when you're class 4 and class 5 racing at Sha Tin, it's usually get your position early. They race nice and tight, and you want to be saving ground. Over these four distances, there aren't too many races over the 2,400, the mile and a half. That can be won from anywhere, usually the Vase. You've got the length of the straight to try and find your position, and draw isn't really too significant there. Funnily enough, dropping back to the Cup over a mile and a quarter, it's quite a tricky start, actually. The starting stalls are about 20-30 metres just before the winning post there, and it's quite a short run to the first bend. So being drawn on the inside, I think there are 26 runnings of the Cup. 5 of the 26 winners have been drawn stall 1. So you do really want to be coming from the inside there over the mile and a quarter. The mile, actually, in the runnings there, I think it's pretty much a free-fall. There's been a nice splattering of winning all over the place there over the mile. Funnily enough, more coincidence than anything, in the mile, every barrier is won except barrier 1 in the Hong Kong mile, which is an interesting stat there, even though you probably do want to be drawn on the inside there to try and save that ground. And in the sprint, again, being drawn on the inside is definitely better there. But again, all barriers have won except barrier 13. So trying to be drawn on the inside's definitely where you want to be, but it doesn't mean you're going to be drawn out in the car park with no luck from 14. That's for sure.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I'm sure we'll tap into that as we go through each race and look at where favourite horses are drawn. Daniel, realise we've gone 4 minutes without hearing from you. So hello.
Good thing, surely.
We're recording this on Sunday afternoon UK time. Obviously, just under a week out. What's your take on the current state of the anti-post markets? How do you see it playing out over the next week or so? Are we going to get 4 places in different fields? What's it looking like to you?
In 2 of the races, there's I think the phrase "cat's chance in hell" with a 1 to 12 shot in the sprint and a 1 to 5 shot in the Cup. And indeed, the Cup has reduced field size this year. It hasn't even filled. It's only got is it 10 runners? I think, Jack, isn't it? I mean, it's really quite a number. There's absolutely no possibility possibility of 4 places there. Vase has been 4 places in the past, but that's down to 11 runners as well. Dubai Honor didn't travel, so they made that decision 10 days a week ago or something. Takes it down to 11. One more drops out. I can't believe you'll get 4 places there. The mile is the one where you will. So when you're thinking about these post prices and you're thinking, oh, well, I could really fancy this to come in the first 3 or 4. With the mile, if you don't think the price is going to crash, that really could be one to hang on for, to get that extra place, because I'm sure that that many bookmakers will do 4 places. In terms of terms, I just noticed that a couple of operators are doing quarter of the odds rather than 50 odds, which makes a difference. Unibet in the sprint quarter of the odds, but of course they're shortest on almost all of the non-Ying Rising horses, so that's not hugely attractive. Bet365, as I say, should go to 4 places post draw. Cup, Unibet the only one offering quarter of the odds, and I suppose the horse that would matter with, we'll come to later. Bellagio Opera, clear second favourite at 5 to 1. Normally with an each way at 5 to 1, if you think he's guaranteed to be placed, you're getting your money back. With a quarter of the odds, you're actually making a slight profit if you fancy Bellagio Opera. It's a good thing to place. And then the Vase, Bet365 quarter of the odds, and they're longest priced on most of the outsiders.
Yeah, Bet365 always reliable when it comes to accurate pricing in anti-post markets. The first race we'll start with is the Hong Kong Sprint, and that features one of the superstars, as mentioned, Ying Rising, who is currently best priced 1 to 12. I'll just add to the background here. His last 10 races or so, the odds he went off at. And the results, there doesn't really need to be a comment because he's won them all. Jack, Ying Rising, can you sum up this horse and whether you see there being any possibility that he doesn't win next?
Yeah, he's just, as you can see from that graphic there, he's probably going to go off 20s on again. He'll be 1.05 over here in Hong Kong, which is the minimum payout the Jockey Club guarantee is 1.05, so it's pretty much the only time they can really lose money is when Ying Rising or the likes is running. And I haven't seen anything quite like Ying Rising. I know, of course, Black Caviar was a little bit before my time, but I think it's just this triple threat he has, this early gate speed, this cruising speed, and this just ability to sustain speed. You see the inside shot there they have with the camera, the kiss cam they called it for Zach when he broke the track record last year in the Jockey Club Sprint. But this fella really does have it all, and it's now impossible for anyone to be able to lay a glove on him. And you're talking about Hong Kong sprinters as well, who are near enough the best in the world. So look, it's a pretty quick race for us to go through. Is there anyone who can challenge him? Absolutely not. I'm not a length bets man, and I don't know how much Zach will be looking to extend him, but I think it's one of those where you sit back, relax, and enjoy greatness there. I think Fast Network, it was a huge run in the Jockey Club Sprint. I know Saturno Rev adds a bit of Japanese feel there, as does a couple of others in there, and Cardem, of course, the British angle in there. But I think I was impressed with Fast Network last time out, pulling a length and a half clear of Helios Express. He's around the 20 to 1 mark, so he's my most likely idea of the second. But hopefully we can, as I say, sit back, relax, and enjoy sprinting greatness.
Yeah, it is rare you see a sprinter just go through races so easily and just look such a different class. He is fantastic, a real superstar. But I mean, 1 to 12, we all think he's going to win. 1 to 12 is far too short. Theoretically, what price would you be interested in backing him at? And Jack, we'll quickly come back to you first before going around the rest of the panel.
I mean, I'm not usually a man who would get involved at odds on, and I know people would be saying 1.1 is probably value, and he's near enough as bomb-proof as they get. And some people do like to say, well, it's racing, anything can happen. But look, barring any mishaps, he just goes and wins really well, and it'll be great to see. But I don't think I'll be getting involved from a betting point of view, put it that way.
Yeah, Ron, a bit of 2 to 13, would that tickle your fancy?
I don't know. I think with Jack there, I probably wouldn't be steaming in at the long odds on, even with sort of slightly more generous pricing. But I just echo everything Jack said. I mean, he probably knows more about him than I do, but all the videos I've watched and so on, he's just a machine. Justifiably a short price. Should be a fun watch. There might be 1 or 2 each way plays potentially against him. We can come on to them. But certainly in terms of just trying to get something for the second or third spot, because I don't think anyone's beaten him. He didn't actually win that impressively in this race last year. I don't think he was quite at his best for whatever reason. If I don't think the draw's going to be a problem wherever he's drawn, but if for whatever reason he ran so well last time off the back of his run in Australia that if for whatever reason he just was a bit £10 below form or something, he probably still wins. But a couple of them got quite close to him last year, albeit he did do it comfortably. He was never going to lose that race. I think it was 3/4 length of the line, something like that. He's got to fall over to lose. But yeah, we'll see. I think there's one or two others at big prices that might just.
Whilst we have you, Ron, go on. Who are you interested in at the big prices? Yeah,
so I just kind of thought that it was basically a 3-horse race without the favourite. You've got Helios Express, who's second last year. And then you've got Fast Network, who's potentially the up-and-comer, who was second to the favourite last time. Actually ran really well last time. I just thought Sotono Rev, who was third last year, potentially a better horse this time around. His run in Japan last time was decent. He probably ran better in Japan last time than he did last year, and then he went on to finish third in this race. He's got to finish in front of, in my opinion, either Helios Express or Fast Network, or both of them. I'd be really surprised if he couldn't beat one of those two horses. There's a big question mark over whether Helios Express is as good as he was last year. He wasn't very impressive in the trial. I think he scraped into third place. And then Fast Network, he did run a good second last time in the prep, but he was absolutely thrashed by the winner. I think Sotono is genuinely sort of decent, not a superstar like the favourite, but he's quite a good horse. But a profit to be made there, because I'd just be surprised if he can't get second or third.
Yeah. Sotono Rev 12-1, bet 365 currently. A horse that let us down at Ascot when Daniel, I think you put him up at a nice price, but yeah, not
we
just
went win only, didn't we? And
he
just Lazat did that massive monster run. The two were clear when it was a great run. He's a really good horse.
Yeah, Daniel, we'll come to you lastly on the sprint, and we'll add to the background the different ratings and time form ratings of the contenders, and this shows the sort of stark difference in quality between the favourite and the rest. And who are you interested in further down the field?
Yeah, you're right. You could count the number of odds on bets I've had in my life on the hands of a man who's been in an industrial accident. So the idea of getting involved at 120 is absolutely unthinkable. I mean, theoretically, I would probably value big 1 to 8, 1 to 7 would be theoretically value. I wouldn't get involved at all. Even if they dangled 1 to 3, I wouldn't bet him. I couldn't. It's against my DNA. And every horse, any horse can have an off day. Your money to put a £1 on to get 5p back with that possibility hanging over your head. No, I can't be going there. So, yeah, I picked a couple of each way plays. I get the Sotono Rev argument. I mean, he's been so good over the last year. Obviously that run at Rise, he's an obvious one for a podium place. But I've just gone with comeback to this fella Helios Express. Just looking through his record, he's faced Ying Rising 8 times. He's been beaten 8 times, obviously, but he's been placed every single time he's faced Ying Rising, and that to me suggests that just an absolutely outstanding record of a horse who can make the frame. I think he can do so again. And he was ahead of Sotono Rev, I think, last year, wasn't he? And the other thing is, you go back 2 back, he was only 5th, but that was one of those sort of handicap group 2 things that they do over there in Hong Kong. We don't do this kind of thing in Britain. We're here in Way. And he was giving £11 to Fast Network, who he beat that day. Now, I know he was beaten behind Fast Network in the Jockey Club sprint last time, but he was the one that didn't get a clear run. I don't call it trouble in running, but he screamed out to me as 25 to 1. So even if you throw away the win slip, you're still making a decent profit. He placed, and I think for me, he feels even money at worst place. I thought he is worthwhile. And I'm also going to take a poke at this this rejuvenated 8-year-old. No, not 9-year-old. I'm not putting up the card here. Wing Carnelian, Japanese horse who, well, by the way, beat Satona last time out, won the Sprinter Stakes, whatever it was. He come back to sprinting. He didn't do so. He didn't do his first sprint until he was 7 years old. He's had 5 sprints. He's won that Group 1 last time. He's got a very close second to Believing when that one was really good in the alcohol sprint. Did flop 2 back and gave through in the towel. And maybe when Ying Rising comes up to his girth, because he'll either lead or set off the lead and flies by him with a furlong and a half or a furlong to go, maybe he'll throw in the towel. But I don't think he's a need the lead, and once he's overtaken, will throw it in type. His 5 sprints, 4 of them have been really good, despite his age. 50 to 1 just feels too big for him to hang on and get a piece. He's likely to be a losing bet, but 50 to 1 each way.
Yeah, okay. Right, so big prices then to take on, or probably sounds more likely running behind the favourite. And that leaves us with these as just a summary of our suggestions. So Jack, Ying Rising to win Fast Network, most likely second. Helios Express and Win Carnelian at 25 and 50s each way, respectively. Okay, so that is the sprint wrapped up. We will then move on to the Hong Kong Mile. This is a bit of a clash of the nations, this one, and as you can see here, we have got the ratings. Jack, we'll come to you first of all for your take on the big 3 Hong Kong contenders.
Yeah, this is an absolute cracker. I think, as you say, a clash of nations. You got, I think, a strong Hong Kong contingent. You got an interesting Japanese contingent as well, and of course, your Europeans in there to add another layer of intrigue. From a Hong Kong point of view, as you say, the big 3, Galaxy Patch, My Wish, and Voyage Bubble, all come with slightly different profiles, albeit they have met previously. Galaxy Patch got his day in the sun last time out in the Jockey Club Mile. He was on the receiving end of a J-Mac Masterclass. A quick pace that day, and My Wish, he was pulled, he was fresh, he was keen throughout, and he still clung on for 4th there. He was only beaten a length. I thought that was a huge run, considering everything went wrong. The 5-week break, Mark Newnham thought it was perhaps a little bit too long for him. He's only had 3 weeks since then to the Hong Kong Mile. He thinks he'll be absolutely primed for it, thinks the break is a lot better for him. And then you got Voyage Bubble, and it's quite hard to weigh up Voyage Bubble. As you guys touched upon there, in the Shartin Trophy, when Voyage Bubble was carrying £135, was giving away to the whole field. It was a little bit of an odd race to watch. He was kind of just up along the outside with Matthew Poonable, never really got into the race, and faced him out in the Jockey Club Cup over 2,000 metres against Romantic Warrior. I think they came home in 116% finishing speed. They went an absolute crawl, which is almost unheard of in Hong Kong. So I think you can almost just put a line through that run. It's quite hard to actually, I think, when they come home in such a sprint like that, it's quite hard to really make anything of it. So we know his well-being still there. We don't really know what level of form Voyage Bubble's got this season, but I think if you can have them as there in the 1, 2, 3, I think My Wish, Voyage Bubble, and Galaxy Patch in that order is the way you can go. But it's going to be a very intriguing race from a tactical point of view. That's for sure.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Looking towards the front of the market there. Daniel, we'll come to you on. I think we put Soul Rush up a few weeks ago at about 16s. He's come into 7s now. And then
20 to 1, yeah.
Excuse me, yeah. I would not want to undersell. And then we'll go to the key Japanese contender and Broadway too. Touch on those.
Yeah, thanks. Soul Rush, he's almost the equivalent in this race as Satona Rev is in the sprint. He's been over the last year until recently, the last month or so. We'll come to that in a minute. He's had this sort of won a Group 1 the Mile Championship at Tokyo. Came in last year, second. He's then gone to the Middle East. He's taken down Romantic Warrior and an absolute humdinger in the Dubai turf. I mean, this is top draw form. Then he goes to goes back to Japan, but that's where it slightly goes wrong. He's been beaten in his last 3, so you don't quite know what form he's in. And he comes back to the World Championship last time, which he won prior to coming to Hong Kong last year, and a 6th to Jantar Mantar, who is in his favour. It was not as bad as it looked. I watched the race, and I mean, I say 6th. I mean, he was less than a length off 2nd, and he doesn't get a good run. He's horribly wide, and the jockey spends the first 2 furlongs looking over his shoulder, trying to drop in somewhere. He just can't do it. He's 3 wide, he's 4 wide, he's 5 wide, he's 3 wide, and then wide into the stretch. That can be upgraded. I think it probably was the same last year. I don't know. And yes, he can place in this race, but we put him up at 20s. Now he's best price 7s. We put him up 20s before that 6th. Now that he's gone to 7s. I don't. He'd fair value at best. It wouldn't be a pick for me at that price. The other one, I think, the up and comer Japanese, is really quite exciting. Is Embroidery. He's the only 3-year-old filly in the field. Well, I think the only filly or mare in the field, full stop, actually, isn't she? She's a daughter of Admire Mars, who, so she's got the genes to win this race, and she gets all the weight allowances. Basically, her profile is she's won 2 of the 3 legs of, as it were, the Japanese sort of triple crowns. She's won the Orca Show and the Super Show. The Orca Show, kind of 1,000 guineas, in which overcomes all sorts of trouble and weaves her way. It was, by far the best. Wins only by less than a length, but then those 2 are clear, and she had, the worst track. Or sorry, the Japanese hooks, the 12 furlong race for fillies. But we can forget about that. She's back to a mile here, and she has a 5-month break. Wins the Super Show, which is over 10 furlongs. Looked good doing that. I think that's a good springboard for that. I think dropping back to a mile, no problem at all if you watch that superb, strong strength. Interesting and possibly overpriced. The negatives, you'd say, she's very, naive and, as it were, lightly raced compared to these, these hardened warriors. She's never travelled abroad. So there are unknowns how she'll travel that, but she's quite a price for Japan's best 3-year-old filly, I think.
Yeah, a bit of a badge of approval for Embroidery there out of the 2 Japanese contenders. Ron, we'll move over to you for the European Challenge, and it seems based on the official ratings as much that there's a bit of a contradiction between their prices and where they feature in the ratings. It's a bit more even when you look at time form, but. We've got a horse like the Lion of Winter, Bovatier, Docklands. What do you take on the European Challenge, Ron?
I'll start with the Lion of Winter. Last year he looked a superstar. He was, he was the best 2-year-old around up until he got injured just before, I think it was the Dewhurst, so he had to miss the Dewhurst, missed the rest of the season after winning at York. He beat the 2,000 guinea winner when he won at York. He did look the real deal. He kind of struggled for the first half of this season after coming back. They ran him in the Derby at Epsom, but it turns out a mile and a half isn't his trip, and the ground also went against him that day. It was sort of slow sided good, and he's just like a fast ground miler, really. As you showed last time, actually placed in grade or Group 1s in like 4 of his last 5 starts, so he has kind of got his act together in more recent outings, but even so, he's just not quite the horse he looked like being last year. Like nothing could touch him last year, and now he's kind of just not quite there. It's possible, given he's trained by O'Brien, that there's more to come from him. Conditions will suit him, and so on. I don't think he's good enough, but I guess just in his groove a little bit, he might find another £5 or something. But as things stand, I don't like him. I think your pronunciation of the French horse is better than mine. Bovatier. How did you pronounce him?
Bovatier.
Yeah, I'll go with that one. His best form was over 6 and 7 furlongs. He's won a couple of group races in Europe this year over those trips, not kind of top level races. I quite like that he's got a bit of speed, and I hope he'll be able to hold his position, and tactical speed in these top level races can be really handy. I still on ratings, he's similar to the Lion and Winter, and both of them are kind of just short of this elite level. So I don't really like him. I could see him running well, but just don't really think he's good enough for all. He's got a bit of speed. The Docklands is in there. He ran Japan last time. That didn't really unfold to suit him. I don't think they went particularly fast, and he just sort of struggled to get into it. But one thing I noted with Docklands is a proper Ascot horse. Obviously, he won there. When I was looking at his record, he's run 20 odd times. He's only ever won 4 races, and 3 of them came up the Ascot Straight. I just don't. I think even his top Ascot form probably isn't good enough. And you're taking him away from his favourite course. I doubt he'll be good enough. So I'm going to look at the Euros in this race. But yeah, that's a summary of those 3.
Okay, yeah, but probably not our top 3 milers, and that tells when it comes to racing in such competitive fields such as Hong Kong. So we'll move straight on to your selections then, and Ron will continue with you, and I suppose you're probably going to overlap quite strongly what you're saying with Jack. But my wish 5-1. You've gone for each way here. What's your thinking about?
Yeah, I think Jack somehow saw my notes because he basically said everything I was going to say about my wish. No, it was a really good summary because I went too fast at pace. The winner can be quite tricky and got a dream trip that day. Exactly, as Jack was saying. I still think this horse is probably the best of the local milers. Such 5-1, he's tempting each way. I just don't think on the day we'll be able to kick him out of the 3 as being. If we're right in thinking he's the best of the locals, then he's probably going to be in the 3. Might win. I am quite worried about Embroidery. I think Daniel made a really good case for her, and I was looking at her, and she's dropping in trip, but then she does have the pedigree, the style, won the race. She's a possible threat, a bit of a dark horse because we know all about like My Wish and all these Europeans and like horses like Soul Rush and so on. She's a bit of a dark horse in that I suppose we don't really know how good she is. But even if she goes and wins, I think it's a little bit like Satona Refi's My Wish. I think he's going to be a bit of a, with this race unfolding a bit more kindly than last time, and he'll learn from that last time. Then he looks rock solid. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you. That's two shouts to My Wish, and then Dan already touched on Embroidery, but Bovatia at 30 place hunting come the markets developing over the course of the week.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a final word on the Embroidery pick. I suppose I wasn't actually going to go there, but then Paddy Power put her up at 8. I mean, everyone else is 5s, 11 to 2, 6s, and in comes Paddy Power. When they come in a few days ago with 8s, and I just thought 8s. Okay, I'll as Ron said, she's an unknown, but that's just big enough to tempt me in. Bovatia, I would have had no interest in for this race at all until his last run, because what it showed me is that his final fast ground, which surprised me. I put him down pigeonhole as a soft ground horse, and he's done stuff like be placed in the Champion Sprint at Ascot and so on. He was a really good 2-year-old. He was the great hope going into Art Weekend for the Jean-Luc Lagardère, and I think it was who's everybody keeps on backing and comes second every time this season. Help me out, someone. Brilliant, thank you. Yeah, anyway, it wasn't up to that, but yeah, run some really good races since. But last time at Newmarket, I think it was the Criterion Stakes, gets fast ground, and I watched the race. I cross him off my list of possible winners. He absolutely cruises behind, yes, an inferior field, and he bolts up, looking really good all along. And maybe fast ground is fine, but not in a sprint, but with more of a stamina test. So just maybe this is what he wants to do. I just thought 33 to 1. If you hang on the asterisk there, you hang on, you probably get 4 places. I can't believe there's going to be a plunge on him. And a few people locally, I think, are going to have heard of Jan Barbaro. I just thought he could seriously outrun his odds, because he'd be ridden cold. That if there's another big pace battle, he will.
Yeah, we might have to start adding him to your list of cliff.
Long list.
Long list. Feeling long. Yeah, but long list.
Just on that pace battle quickly, I think one thing that is going to be key here is that Pray For Me was in the Jockey Club Mile last time out, and he was the one who really laid down the gauntlet with that early pace with co-partner Prance, who's kind of been the consistent leader in your Charlton trophies. And then in the Celebration Cup over 1400 metres as well. Whereas on Sunday, there's going to be no Parade Familiar, and it looks like there's only going to be one logical leader, and that's Co-Partner Prance, unless they try and send Voyage Bubble forward as well. So I can't see there being too much of a red hot tempo, which again makes it more intriguing from a tactical point of view.
Yeah,
Interesting.
Yeah, definitely. The next race we are going to move on to is the Hong Kong Cup. Potentially a bit of a disappointing strength of fields for the meetings feature race, but a lot of that will be down to the fact that we've got another very short price superstar at the front of the betting. And well, again, you spoke very effusively and eloquently about Ying Rising. I'm going to ask you to go through the motions again, Jack, but this time about Romantic Warrior. Unfortunately, 2 blemishes on what would be an otherwise perfect record in the Saudi Cup was one of the races of the year last year. But yeah, I will hand over to you, Jack, to give us a little summary of Romantic Warrior.
Yeah, I suppose they're actually quite a good 2 horses to mention in the same preview, because for all the explosiveness and finesse of Ying Rising, you've got the grit and metronomic-like consistency and getting down and dirty of Romantic Warrior. This fella just knows how to win. Yes, you got those 2 blemishes on there, as you say, but if you go back to a couple of his Hong Kong Cup wins, of course, he's one of only 3 horses to have 3 wins at HKR, looking to become the first to have 4 at the international races. But he just knows where the winning post is. And even last time out, he had a screw inserted into an injured fetlock at the end of May. But goodness me, he proved that he was in fine fettle last time out with a sharp turn of foot. I saw a few people saying perhaps you could even drop him back to 1200 after that performance. He really did show an electric turn of foot to reel in Voyage Bubble and simply dismiss him. And he really is that good. And I know it's slightly disappointing to an extent that you do have probably a horse who's going to go off 1.1, but at the same time, he's a global superstar. And if you didn't have him, you might have a lot of internationals, but perhaps moan the fact that begrudge the fact there isn't a global superstar. So hopefully it'll be another sit back and watch, but he really is that good. And I don't know how long we'll be seeing him around for. So hopefully we'll be able to just sit back and enjoy.
Yeah. So if you're forecasting he goes off at 1.1, you're piling in at 1.2 right now, are you?
Oh, again, unfortunately not. No, the double I think would probably pay about 1.3, the Ying Rising Romantic Warrior. But yeah, over here I wouldn't be surprised if he goes off 20 to 1 on, to be honest, over here in Hong Kong. I wouldn't be surprised if 1.05 is all you're getting about him on the day.
Okay, yeah. 1.05, if that's what you like, I'd maybe recommend in goals instead rather than horse racing. Daniel, we will move on to you, and I've just put up the ratings again for the fields, and we have, or the anti-poster has put up Lord Del Rey 33s, Quizizan 66s, and Rushin Park at 100s. Obviously, Lord Del Rey and Rushin Park, Japanese. I'll come to you for a holistic view on Japanese chance in this race.
Yeah, I mean, we put up those 3, as you say, at 33, 66, and 100s, because I just felt that this was a race that you wanted to get a price at each way. We're just it's basically one horse between you and a big payout. And this guy will be 8 in March. He's got screws in a fetlock. Now, that didn't stop him from coming back and looking great, but funny sort of race. As Jack said, this was not an end-to-end murderous gallop that he had to grit it out off a murderous gallop. It was a very different sort of race. Second back after that injury and the operation coming 1 to 5. You can't go there, can you? Anyway, so yeah, the each angle is what we went for. Just talking through the Japanese. So the people who like what they call the scumbag each way, the 5 to 1 Bellagio Opera Bellagio Opera is clearly the second best horse in this race on paper. Even though the ratings there don't show it, particularly the official ratings. Japanese handicapper, a bit more conservative, I think, typically than certainly European ones. He's a 5-year-old. He's coming off 6 consecutive Group 1s in Japan, and these Group 1s in Japan, you're talking 15, 16, 17, 18 horses, right? Big fields. And he's come 1st, 3rd, 6th, 4th, 1st, 3rd. And the 4th and 6th, the worst performances were the Tenno Show and the Arima Kenin. But we took Japan's absolutely strongest races where every single good horse turns up. So, he's got an absolutely excellent, rock solid form. You know, with the form that he doesn't win that much. Those two wins are two winnings of the 2024 and 2025 Osaka High. So that's over this trip, and this year it was in record time. Right, so I mean, this guy is really good, and frankly, if you take out Romantic Warrior, I don't think there's any doubt at all that this is the weakest race this horse has run in for years, basically. Certainly, any of his last 6. So, in a way, he should finish second, and you think he must finish third. So, I wouldn't put anyone off each way, but just getting your money back if Romantic Warrior does turn up. It's Lord Del Rey that screams out to me, not least because one bookmaker is way out of line with all the others on this horse. I think he's completely underestimated. He's a 5-year-old son of Lord Kanaloa. That was again with Heart's Cry on the dam side. And I mean, what a CV, 11 runs, 6 wins, 3 seconds. That's a lot not to like. He's beaten by Bellagio Opera in that record-breaking Osaka High back in May, but he's only beaten a length into second. Deep Closer, who's used to closing in 16, 17, 18 horse fields. A 10-horse field, just for him, he'll feel like, blimey, there aren't many horses to pass here. I can see him running an absolute massive run. Maybe the reason for his price is that he was well beaten in the Takarazuka Kinen. Japanese racing aficionados, please excuse my pronunciation. But that was his only run with proper real dig in the ground. And the forecast looks good. It's going to be fast ground. I think 28 is nuts. There are plenty of teens prices out there. And I think Bet365 have gone out completely on a limb with this guy. Win squeak if Romantic Warrior is below form, but a big chance of placing, just too big. And the other Japanese, who we put up 100s, gets Christophe Lemaire. That's not a bad thing. Rauschenpark Park. Look, he's a bit of a rogue, this 6-year-old son of Harbinger, and he's completely out of form. So those two things, you put them together, you think, well, that doesn't sound appealing. But it all comes down to price. On his day, when he turns up, he's a real good one. Very nearly won the beat Rebels Romance for the 24 Breeders' Cup. And he very nearly beat Bellagio Opera in the 24 Osaka High. I mean, like, there was a neck between them. So when this guy turns up, he turns up. And this is his second start over after throat surgery. Ain't a vet, quite vet. I have no idea what kind of surgery this was, but I read a couple of sources, saying that they're hoping for improvement. If this guy gets out on the right side of bed on the 14th of December in Hong Kong, and he may not, because I think he's running this race before he was only 8. I think 66 is now. I wouldn't put anyone off, but 100s, I just thought you've got to have a little each way on that fella. Those are the 3 Japanese players.
Okay, yeah, and sounds like you give them a good chance for at least one of them to finish in the places. Ron, will come to you for the European challenges. I was quite surprised to see Galen's name in the entries for this race, to be honest with you. I did not think he'd be up for it, but Chris Azana, she comes in, having run disappointingly, but obviously in the arc, you can put that down to the draw, the way that race is working out. But I will stop speaking and pass over to you.
I'll start with Galen. I mean, he did run quite well in Bahrain last time, 10 furlongs right-handed. You can see why they're probably just rolling the dice. He's fit and the conditions will suit him. Maybe they're going to carry on to Dubai and Saudi. I'm not sure, because he ran in Dubai last year. But I don't think he's good enough. He got the run of the race in Bahrain last time. I think it was his first run in a visor, and he ran really well. But yeah, he's not going to be up to this. I do quite like Kisasana, the French mare. I thought Daniel made a good point. I do think Romantic Warrior will win the race, but at the same time, I think Daniel made a good point that it was a very steadily run race that in fact, Jack made the same point, very steadily run race that he won last time. He's coming back from injury when he won that race, and he looked great, but obviously it wasn't the most taxing race in the world. He'll probably win. He's probably fine. I think they're already thinking of kind of going for more international pots after this one. If he's back to himself 100%, then he obviously will win quite easily. Ever so slight question mark, and I would prefer the sprint favourite if I had to take the odds on one of them. As for those Japanese contenders, I just thought one of the interesting. I don't think they're outstanding, and they're quite closely matched. I think Bellagio Opera, his last 2 wins were gained. I think Rauschenpark was second in one of them, and Lord Del Rey was second in the other one. So they're all kind of they're the same kind of horse, and I just don't think it's an outstanding horse that level. The mare Kisasana, the French one, she's a 5-year-old, but she's only had 10 starts. She won a 10 furlong Group 1 in the summer, going right-handed. I actually picked her for the Arc, but that was a mile and a half. The ground went really testing. It was all too much for her. She finished 9th. She then came back from that and ran well at Ascot. She was quite, again, 12 furlongs. It was in the fillies race on Champions Day. She was quite keen, probably going further than she really wants, 12 furlongs. And she still ran well for 3rd. It was a respectable run. Now getting back to 10 furlongs and kind of like, a speed test at 10 furlongs, quick ground, I think that will suit her. The decent ground. She's trained by, her trainer, Graffard. He's won the Arc this year, the Champion Stakes. He won a race at the Breeders' Cup, and he trained the winner of the Japan Cup. This mare's 40-1 to, again, it's a kind of an each-way play against an Ardon shot, but I think she's potentially sitting on her best run yet. Trainer's absolutely on fire this year. I'm just not scared of those Japanese horses at all. She just seems big at 40s. I don't think she'll win, but coming at this from an each-way angle, she'll do for me. I think she's tempting enough.
Yeah, and new strategy that I'm certainly developing is backing the unplaced wide drawn horses from the Arc. Daniel, see, you've also put up Quisisana and Lord Del Rey, as you mentioned, you're very keen on. Anything to add to what was already a pretty convincing case from Ron on Quisisana?
Yeah, just briefly on Quisisana, this is surely a case of one hideous run, and therefore the bookmakers overreacting. But if we think of Graffard's, top Group 1 winning fillies, there's another one who flopped in the Arc called Gazora. She comes next time out and wins the Breeders' Cup filly and mare Turf. So you've got to forgive a bad run. He's always said this one wants better ground. He was worried about the ground on Arc Day. Back to her Group 1 winning trip. We put her up at 66. It's crazy. 40s is still too big each way. I think Ron's right. It's got to be on the card. And Lord Del Rey, I made the case for. I think he's overpriced and could easily run into a place. But if Warrior's on form, it's over.
Yeah. And then Jackie, Romantic Warrior first, Bellagio Opera second, which I think is really what we all expect.
Indeed. Yeah, I think Bellagio Opera is just a rock solid place. Chance behind, we're only going to have the 9 runners. Chanois come out from the field as well. Douglas White trained Chanois, who's a recent import. He's not going to be running in the race as well.
Sorry, Jack, this is new to me. So we're 10 horse races now, a 9 horse race.
Yeah, so we're now down to 9. So Chanois is also going to be out. But Bellagio Opera, I agree. I think 5-1's actually not a bad trade price with the course of the odds, as you guys have said. 4th in the Arima McKinnon last year, beat Lord Del Rey in that Osaka High. And while he wasn't at his best behind Meishu Tabaru in the Takarazuka Kinen, I thought he ran a good enough race when he was a favourite there. So I think he's probably the rock solid each way chance there. And if I was going to have a bet, it'd definitely be him each way rather than Romantic Warrior at 5 is on, that's for sure. Okay,
and would you play the forecast?
Yeah, I think so. I think it seems like a pretty decent forecast. Again, it's going to be interesting to see how this works from a tactical point of view, because Galen is probably going to go forward, but it doesn't look like there's going to be heaps of pace on there. So I don't think we want to get too far back.
Yeah. Okay. So also to add, Chamois 250-1 is a non-runner, so unlikely to have a huge impact on the outcome of the race, but potentially for those, actually there wouldn't have been 4 places with Romantic Warrior that short. But let's finish up with a preview of the Hong Kong Vase. So this is a more familiar race for those of you from Europe, and I've just got the ratings up there, and it looks a lot more comfortable in terms of understanding for certainly myself. Where shall I start? Ron, we'll come to you. You've talked about the European contenders throughout the duration of the podcast, but this time, this is your moment to shine, where it looks likely that at least one of them will win. Over to you.
Thanks. They're rock solid. Certainly 2 of the 3 just look potentially clearly the best horse in the race. I think start with Sozy. He's a 3-time Group 1 winner in France, from 9 furlongs to a mile and a half. I think they haven't always been the strongest races that he's won. He was 4th and 3rd in the last 2 Arcs. I think that's about his level, which is pretty good, kind of there or thereabouts in the Arc, but not quite good enough to win one. This has been the plan since he ran in the Arc this year, and he's trained by Andre Fabre, who's had the winner of this race 3 times. So yeah, he's rock solid. Givoletto, Botti's horse, won the race last year. He was as good as ever when he won at Kempton in September. I really fancied him for the Arc when it looked like it was going to be a fast ground Arc. The ground went against him in the end. They ran him anyway, and I was surprised to see him run as well as 4th, because he just wants decent ground, and it ended up pretty soft, and he still finished 4th, only just behind Sosie. So I thought that was a really good run. This horse was campaigned as a stayer earlier in his career, and I kind of think that has made him kind of relatively unfashionable. People thinking he's quite slow, but he was probably just running over the wrong trip earlier on, because he's got a really good turn of foot, as he showed in this race last year. This has always been the plan. Even when it was looking like he could end up as a serious Arc contender, Botti kept saying, like Hong Kong, we're working back from the Hong Kong Vase. We want to win that race again. The fact they ended up running him in the Arc on bad ground maybe kind of goes against the idea that they were just keeping him so fresh for this, and in the end they got tempted to roll the dice. That was in October, so it shouldn't be a problem. He's had a couple of months since then. I can't believe that race will have bottomed him. I can't believe it will have derailed the idea that he's going to go and have a really good chance again. So he just looks absolutely rock solid, and I think I prefer him to Sosie of those two. Alrifa is another of the Europeans. Joseph O'Brien. I don't think he's as good as those two. He was behind Sosie at Longchamp in April. He's won a couple of staying races in Ireland since then. But yeah, while the two I mentioned already, while they were going for the Arc, this horse has been aimed at like an Irish St Ledger and a Melbourne Cup. He's just not as good as them. Yeah, as simple as that, really. I think he can run well. He's a good campaigner, but below the level of those two. And there's a few other Europeans in there, but I'm happy to go over those. But they're the 3 main ones, and of those, Givoletto is my pick.
Okay, yeah, interesting. Sosie, I found the Sandown run very weird from Sosie, and it had been quite put off from him ever since. And then, as mentioned, two horses that will definitely stay strongly in Givoletto and Alrifa. Daniel, I'll come to you for Urban Chic, and if you want to cover either of the other Euros, that would be good as well.
Yeah, it's reasonable to bring in Urban Chic here, because this is a market which has, got a clearly dividing line, hasn't it? You've got those 3 Europeans that Ron's covered, and Urban Chic, and then there's a massive drop in the betting to, when you get into outsider territory. So yeah, this is the Japan's candidate to spoil this European party. Europe's record in this race is amazing. And by the way, for those of you who like trainer stats, Fabre's racing is amazing. So that's another positive for Sosie, though, having put her up at 25. So we'll rush back in at 3-1. Urban Chic, quite lightly raced for 4-year-olds, son of Suave Richard, Japan Cup winner out of the Harbinger mare. Won the Japanese St Ledger as a 3-year-old. Usual sort of 17, 18 horse field. This guy stays. Stamina's not an issue. So what you might be worried about is, has he going to got the speed for 12 furlongs around Chartin, and this season he is 0 for 3, which doesn't inspire confidence. But you look through that, and you realize his comeback run last time was in the Tenno Show, red hot race, Masquerade Ball, winning that. Now he's 5th. He did not have a clear stretch run at all. He's only a neck off 2nd. It's one of those situations like, is it Soul Rush in that mile race? You see 6th. I thought, oh, blimey, that was a disaster. But yeah, you're a length off 2nd with trouble. It needs to be taken into account. And that field was really strong. Masquerade Ball and Darius have finished, Calandigan, they finished lengths clear of the next horse in the Japan Cup. I suspect that's really good form. So yeah, I'm interested in this guy. I still suspect that Givoletto or Sosie are too strong. I just thought with that last time run and his slightly unexposed profile, with that not having won this year, he'll be maybe overlooked in the market. I might even let him drift, even though I've put him off and not back him now. The two Europeans are just bringing her next in the betting. Now you're down to 16-1 and 20-1 territory. Goliath, I mean, he's your Forrest Gump of racehorses, isn't he? You never know what you're going to get. He's been brilliant. That 24 King George is like a wow moment. Slight doubts over the way that was run, the pace they went. There's something funny about the inside rail that day. Ground that was described anywhere from good to soft to good to firm, depending on who you talk to. All a bit weird. But he has run well since. He's won another Group 1 since. Now, okay, only German, but he beat Jubayana by just under 2 lengths. Jubayana was second in this last year, so fine. I know I'm stretching the collateral form, but Goliath is capable of a good one. So that's why we said it, put him up a few weeks ago, because whoever it was put him up in at 50s, and I thought that's ridiculous. A 50 to 1 shot. But that said, I'm not sure he's valued now at 16s. Los Angeles, what has gone on with this horse this season? I mean, in a word, in 3 words, Prince of Wales. Did they completely bottom this horse? I mean, they said as much afterwards. He's really knackered after that. He's going to need a break. Comes back, has 3 runs. One is 4th in the Foy. It was not that bad, but he was last in the Arc and whatever. So I've got to ask a question. This is to each of you. Sorry, and I know this wasn't on the agenda, but I just thought I'd shot you with this one. Each in turn. We're going to go clockwise. So go to Ron first. Is Los Angeles gone at the game and you couldn't have him at any price, or actually quite interesting at 20 to 1? Or could you not call it between those 2 holes?
Yeah, he's interesting to a point. I'd certainly lean against him. I'm not tempted even at that kind of price. Coolmore announced the other day that he's going to stand as a National Hunt Stallion. Like first half of the season, he looks absolutely fine. He even managed to win a 10 furlong Group 1 in the spring. And we know he wants this trip, so in theory, that was a pretty good effort. But I mean, he finished last in the Arc, didn't he, last time? It's hard to imagine that he goes from last place at Longchamp to first place here, especially given that there was a couple, the Arc 3rd and 4th running this. He's not for me. I mean, I wouldn't, if someone wants to have a 5 on him at a big price, and he might be completely dismissed on the board on the day. He's certainly got the back class, and it was only the spring that he was winning the Tattersalls Gold Cup, but no, it's a no from me.
Jack, that brings it to you.
Well, the Racing Post have retired them themselves. If you type in Los Angeles name into Racing Post, you've already got your Weatherby's overview there. So I think that kind of sums it up. Likewise, Bovatier, actually, they're both retired.
Bovatier was going to be retired. They changed their minds, I think. Yeah.
There you go. So no, unfortunately, he is. He's not the force of old. It's quite a big shame, to be honest, because the 2 and 3-year-old, he looked like a world beater at times, but this season he just seems like his heart's gone, and unfortunately, when that's the case, it can be awfully hard to bring them back.
James, which leaves you on the spot.
Yeah, he's gone. I've tried my hardest to prove otherwise in his 3 races since, but no, he's gone.
But you would perhaps all admit that it's quite an interesting situation to have a horse who's won 3 Group 1s in the last 14 months, who's top rated on official ratings, and he's 20 to 1 plus. It's been an extraordinary nosedive trajectory from this season.
Is he just keeping the line and winter company on the plane? They are sticking him on the plane, aren't they? Which is, I guess, is something. I mean, assuming they still are after the announcement that he's going to stud. Long way
exactly.
to send him, if he's completely.
It will be crucial to listen to the Aidan O'Brien speak, won't you? I mean, what are the vibes? Can we read between the lines and they're just why not? Because he's on space next to his buddy on the plane, or whether he says no. We think there's another big one in him. It'd be fascinating. I don't know. Just one final thing, we didn't mention Aidan. I can't believe Aidan's in this race, but has improved for change of trainer. Musney's now with Baldings, ex-Varian. He won well last time, wants good ground. Is this the owner maybe wanting a runner? But Baldings seemed pretty bullish about it. Any love for Aidan, anyone?
I'll jump in. I was looking at him. I was trying to kind of convince myself. I think they've always thought he was top class, and he looks like he's getting it together now. He was beaten on the weather a couple of times last winter in Britain, and it's a stretch to think he's going to go from that to suddenly winning this race. But if they, I think he's kind of been a hard horse to train. If they've had a clear run with, I gather anyway, if they've had a clear run with him, maybe he's going to produce his best yet. His latest win was in Italy, wasn't it? It's a bit of a leap, and I was kind of hoping for bigger odds. I think he's best price 20s or something. If he was 33s, again,
like you, I wanted more. I wanted a bigger price.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be good enough. But I've done it, where I'm kind of like covering myself a little bit by not completely dismissing him. But no, I do think it's probably best to focus on those top 2. Maybe that's just kind of the way I'm leaning. But certainly interesting. And yeah, the fact that he's travelling, and likewise Los Angeles, maybe they're worth a second look if nothing else.
Yeah, no, agreed. Los Angeles, I think 40s as it would start to get interesting, probably back, but 20s no, it's too short at the minute. Jack, we'll come to you lastly to discuss the Hong Kong contenders, and they tend to be the outsiders of the field, to be honest.
Yeah, and deservedly so. Unfortunately, I'd love to fly the flag for Hong Kong here, but they're very much up against it. The likes of Moment in Time, he's going to go forward. Bundle Award, he's been a little bit of a hard horse to work out this season. Actually, funnily enough, in that Jockey Club Cup last time out, his final 400 2 furlongs in old money was 21.4 seconds, which is the fastest final 2 furlongs at Sharting this season. And I think only 2 horses the whole of last season match that. That just shows what a cruel they went. But it still feels like they're trying to work out his trip a little bit, which is weird because he's won over a mile and a half. He's been kind of keeping on nicely as well. Has a nice turn of foot. J-Max now on board as well. He'd probably be the one of intrigue out of the Hong Kong contingent. Kind Generation, this looks like a level well above what he's capable of. Again, he ran a good race last time out, and likewise Ensued hasn't quite managed to reach the heights many thought he might be able to, and he won on debut really nicely for John Size here in Hong Kong. So it looks like they're definitely up against it, but this is an absolute humdinger. I think this is a cracking race. I echo the thoughts that I don't really like how Riffer's prep. It kind of feels like a little bit of an afterthought coming to Hong Kong, so happy to look past him. Giovanotto and Sozi, of course, both have cracking chances here. You mentioned Andrew Farb's record. I think it's 15 runners in the Vase, 2 winners and 4 seconds. When he has the plan to send them over to Hong Kong, we saw it with Juncker a couple of years ago, most recently, and he gets them here. He so often gets it right, and he had this idea with Sozi, and I think he's going to be there or thereabouts. I think the biggest danger, as Daniel said, that as you can see there, Urban Chic, I completely agree. I mean, I think you have to ignore the Japanese contenders at your peril here. And of course, Silk Racing had Glory Vase, who won this twice in 2019 and 2021. So those connections know exactly how to win this race. And Byzantine Dream showed this year that you can win the Japanese Ledger and actually not just need stamina-laden contests. You can actually perform over a mile and a half. So I do think Sozi is the class angle. I think he's going to be too good, and I think Urban Chic isn't going to be too far away. But for the Hong Kong boys, I think maybe better luck next year, fellas.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, it's Sozi for Jack. Giovanotto at 3s, as well mentioned. Anything to add on top of what you covered earlier on?
No, exactly that. Yeah, I respect Urban Chic. I think Giovanotto will win, but I do respect Urban Chic as well. That's just the way I see it. I do think Giovanotto will come out on top over Sozi this time, and I suspect they're the best horses in the race. But yeah. Yeah,
cool. And then Daniel, Urban Chic, same question to you.
Yeah, just very briefly. I mean, I don't think, let's be honest, neither Europe nor Japan is sending the very best they've got to this race. So it's, with a next level down, but with Japan's 12th furlong, pool of talent being so deep, arguably the deepest of any country on the planet, I'll take their best here as a player against the 2 shorter Europeans the boys have put up. That I completely rightly agree, and I'm with them on Al Riffer. His very high rating seems to be all down to that St. Ledger race, and over a longer trip from Amiloch, and I'm not quite sure he's worthy of that rating.
Okay, yeah. Unfortunately, not much correlation in terms of what we're putting up here, but it's certainly towards the front end of the market when it comes to the Hong Kong bars. We will hope that class shows through. And that brings us to an end. Actually, there's one more very important thing to ask of all of you. And Jack, we'll start with you. It is your nap for the entire thing. If you have one, if you don't, so that's okay.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't clash with anyone, but I seriously think the 5-1 available about My Wish now for the Hong Kong Mile, I think it's an absolute cracking bet. I think he's a huge price. He's got great gate speed, no matter where he's drawn. He was probably the most unlucky Hong Kong Derby runner-up in the last 20, 30 years. He's got good gate speed, be able to get into a nice position, and then from there, I think it's going to be rinse and repeat, as we saw in the Sharting Trophy and the Celebration Cup, sit on the coattails of co-partner Prance and say bye-bye. And I think Luke Ferraris will enjoy his first Group 1 winner in Hong Kong, as will Martin Unum. And I truly think this guy's going to take the mile division by storm. So it'd be My Wish at 5-1 for the Hong Kong mile for me.
Okay, excellent. My wish 5s. Ron, are you going to be in the same boat on my wish?
I won't make him as my nap. My nap was going to be Giavellotto. That's what I've got written down in my notes. I've kind of just talking through it with you guys. I've really talked myself into Kistisana each way. If you can get the 40s, I think before recording this, she was 40-1. I just think that's just very big. So she's the most appealing play for me if you can get that 40-1.
Okay, 40-1 Kistisana, yeah, but one that we certainly like as well. And then Daniel, to finish us off, who was your anti-post selection?
Just for viewers on the boys' naps there, in terms of who's offering what, Kistisana is 40s with Bet365. That is standout because the next best price you're dropping to 25s. And Paripa and Skybet and one other, they're as short as 10-1. I mean, 40s is clearly off the scale nonsense as a reflective price of Grafal's Phillies' chances. So that's that one. And Jack's My Wish. That 5 is only available with Ladbrokes and Coral, and then you're 9-2 Bet365, and this fellow's 7-2 and 3-1 with the Shrewdies who share Jack's view of his chances. I'm going to put up a horse who I don't think will win as my nap, which sounds absolutely crazy, but that's the nature, isn't it, of a race where you've got a crazy odds-on favourite. So not the car Ying Rising, but Romantic Warriors 1-5. Lord Delray should not be 28-1. That's 5.5 to be placed. I do not believe that's reflective of reality. So Lord Delray, and again, it's another situation of one bookie out on a limb. 28s, then you're down to one bookie with 20s and it's 16s elsewhere.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you very much, Dan, and thank you for getting the prices up as well. Hopefully they stay constant after this goes out. As mentioned, we're recording this Sunday afternoon. But yeah, go
Sorry to interrupt, Jamie. Just thought, unless you were going to do this, so we didn't actually give the boys the plug and they deserved it, and tell them where they can find them. Do you want me to do that, or do you want to take that on?
I'll give
they know where to find us because this is our YouTube channel, but we just need to make it clear that if they're not following these guys, they're missing out. Anyway, Jack, if you're not following Jack Dawling on Twitter, you will be missing out on regular Happy Valley and Sha Tin picks. And thank you very much. A couple of weeks ago, I had dinner out with the wife on an 18-1 shot put up by Jack. Thank you for that. And those of you who will remember Ron from his years at the Racing Post. He's now with the Telegraph Media Group, and it's online column. Horses, but also dabbles successfully in golf and football as well. And for those of you who don't follow him, just an idea of what you're missing out on. If you'll recall that the Ascot Champion Sprint was won by a 200-1 shot called Powerful Glory, I believe. Many people around the nation were saying, well, who could possibly have been on that? Well, if you've been following Ron, you would have been.
Thanks, Daniel. Yeah, I'm going to live off that one for a while, I think. It was a crazy price. So I was like, he just kept drifting and drifting. And I probably should have been having more on than every time he drifted. But no, I was happy with that. And exactly. Working for the Telegraph Media Group and as a commercial betting copywriter, you can find my stuff there and tip on the horses most days.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Make sure to look out for both Ron and Jack. And thank you both very much for joining us. It's it really means a lot to Daniel and I to take so much of your time to help us out. And yeah, hopefully it will be exciting to do more in the future as we look at different international meetings. Thank you, everyone. Please do like, subscribe, head to Twitter, etc. All the usuals. We'll chuck some links in the description to find each and every one of us. And we look forward to speaking to you next time. We have no big flat meeting in mind that we're going to talk about next, but enjoy Hong Kong, and we'll speak to you as soon as we see fit. Right, goodbye.
Cheers, guys.
See you.